Shall we do an intro?
That would be marvelous. I've been looking forward to one of these for quite some time.
Yeah. Okay.
No pressure.
On you go then. Hello, welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I'll be your host for April, because the sun is out. The sun is here and the temperature has been up between the 19s to the 20s. And, I don't like the sun that much. I prefer it maybe when the sky isn't maybe that blue. I actually prefer it maybe when it's just a little bit grayer. So joining me, I'm taking a bow.
You've earned it.
It's Michael Greer.
Hello, Richard.
Hello.
How lovely to be in a genuine, real podcast studio. It's marvellous here.
Do you like it?
Yes. I love the shag pile carpets and there's a 64-track mixer. Do you really need all those tracks?
I like to sound as professional as I possibly can, and therefore I think the more tracks, the better.
Good. I see you've taken up 63 of them for yourself. Yeah.
And you deserve one. And potentially, if you do well, you might go into two. But...
in both ears.
The reason Michael's on tonight is quite simply is that when we ran the gluten-free biscuit fund back in December, we had a tier where we said to people, tell you what, come on to the show and you can be in control. You can do what you want within reason. You can ask all the questions of me if you want. You can talk about whatever you want at all. And so Michael decided to take up that offer, and he's here to talk about whatever he wants to bring up a topic. We're going to discuss it. We're going to have maybe, a good discussion, some frivolous debate, or a direct argument where he hangs up on me, and we'll just see how we get on.
It's good, it's good to set a few goals, isn't it, for a project like this?
Well, you know what they say, is it not that kind of, is it fail to plan, plan to fail, kind of, I don't know, some kind of nonsense along the lines of...
Who says that?
Not idiots, potentially, people that fail.
Oh, like you and me?
All the way. But yes, it
good,
is.
Good. I'm glad
we're together. Oh, this is going to be chaos, but it's fine. It's good chaos. Are you well, sir? First of all, I mean, yes, I've probably asked you this already, but obviously, in this wonderful excitement haze, I'm asking you again.
Well, do you know what? I don't think you actually ever did. We just got straight down to business and working out levels on the mics and all that professional farting about that one has to do when you're in a professional podcasting studio like the one we're in. Yes, I'm very well. I'm doing marvelously. I've had a lovely Easter weekend. It's been glorious weather, as you said, and I spent about 6 hours of it in the middle of the day inside a pub and playing board games and hiding away from the sun as much as I possibly can. It's been marvelous. It's been glorious.
That's the best thing to do, isn't it? It's kind of like when you're a board gamer, it's like, how can I justify staying inside potentially on such a wonderful day and inviting my friends round? Do we draw the curtains? Can we draw the curtains and keep the windows open?
I don't think we ever need to justify that, to be quite honest, though. It's just always nice having friends around, isn't it? Or going out to the pub and doing those kind of things.
Are you quite a social individual then? I mean, are you the active type of person that kind of like to actively kind of go out and, encourage kind of board gaming amongst your friends and stuff like that?
Well, I have been recently. I don't think it's a thing that's come necessarily naturally to me, but I think I've, much to my surprise, I found myself sort of taking on that role and actively really enjoying it.
No. Are your friends were they did you meet friends through the scene? Or was it a case that you kind of had friends and then you kind of slowly introduced them by piecemeal to little bits of cardboard? Look, here's a Meeple. I'll just leave this on the table for you. Well, you can pick it up and touch it.
I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, to be quite honest. I mean, maybe perhaps if I sort of describe a little bit of why I decided to sort of, bribe my way onto this show in the first place. I mean, there must have been some motivation, right?
Exactly. It's not like you just like to turn up and talk.
Well, part of the motivation is, I wanted to support the podcast because I listen to it and I really enjoy it, and I'm going to be very weirded out by hearing the sound of my own voice. It
happens. You're kind of like the important guest that they get on, say, Jonathan Ross, that doesn't have something to plug, but is there purely for the entertainment version. You're not coming on to push a book. You're not coming on to talk about a Kickstarter. You're not necessarily coming on to talk about your content creation. You're just here to provide us with 45 minutes to an hour of pure entertainment. Oh gosh. So there's no pressure.
Oh, God, I left my juggling clubs in the other room. Sorry about that.
I don't know if that's going to be any good.
Oh yeah, that's probably a good thing. Not particularly good for radio, that is it?
I think I'd be interested. It'd be like me and Yanni kind of playing what we were doing Morse code on glasses the other day, which was
I haven't listened to that episode yet.
That's just out probably in the last half hour.
Oh right. You wait. We better stop this recording right now then, so I can actually be up to speed with all the shenanigans that's been going on the We're Not Wizards podcast. Yeah, that's what it's called, isn't it?
That's good. It's good to be remembered why you're here.
Exactly. Why I'm doing this as well as why you're doing this.
Why are you here? What are you here for? Because you said you bribed yourself on, but what do you want to talk to us about, Michael? Well, come on, let's stop flapping about. Just spit it out, man. See how you feel. Your motivation. Go.
Can I go now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the reason I wanted to come on here and actually talk is because I run a meetup group. I live in South London, and I run a meetup group, and I'm a big fan of meetup groups as a way of playing board games, and firstly playing them with friends you've already got, and making friends that you haven't got yet. And yeah, I just wanted to sort of talk about that, and run myself into the ground, try to think of what it is I'm talking about, but run out of steam. But yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to talk about. I mean, we might be able to talk about a few board games and things like that as well.
Potentially, I don't. Very rarely talk about them.
Do you enjoy board games, Richard?
On occasion, yes. I can't say it's been probably a long time since I actually played a real board game. The rest of the time, I'm just making it up.
Is that actual fact, or are you just vamping now? Because I don't know how much time you actually get to.
Well, you can see the walls behind me. Do you see a game?
Yeah. No, I don't. But that's because they should all be on the table, right? Having just been played.
I can't try to reach. Actually, I tell you what, just to prove to the viewers out there, there is no viewers.
It's just me.
There's one
that?
there.
Temp Worker Assassins. Oh,
yes. It's a very, very good fun game.
Is it? Okay.
It's good. I've also got Grimslingers under here as well, which is another absolutely fantastic game. How did you cut your teeth in the hobby?
How did I cut my teeth in the hobby?
How did you cut? Were you a Monopoly boy? Were you asking for the car? Did you wrestle over the dog? Did you not care?
Well, see, this is a funny story. Well, I've kind of got into it through family. Okay. My mum is a very, very keen bridge player, so I've always had cards and particularly bridge. My granddad played a lot of cribbage, and I played a lot of cribbage with him, and I played a lot of that with my dad. My dad's not so much into board games, although I did find out. I went back home. It was his birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I went back home to celebrate his birthday and stay a couple of nights and do all that family stuff. And one of the things that I found, you have a little route through the old stuff, just to see if there's anything interesting. And there was this picture that had been sitting on the top of this filing cabinet for a while. I don't know how long it'd been sat there, and it was a photo of him in his Cambridge University like college grounds. It was him and the Cambridge University Tiddlywinks team.
Wow.
Yes. So,
how did you approach? I mean, I'm not being funny, but how do you approach a kind of a matter like that with your father? I mean, with obviously somebody that you grew up with and you were looking for guidance and things like that. I mean, when you find a photograph of him being involved in something as controversial as Tiddlywinks, I mean, is that maybe where you get your excellent finger action from?
Now, yeah. That requires perhaps a little bit of context. I don't know. Which we'll probably not be willing to provide.
We're probably not going to be putting in. We tried to do a click earlier on, and it became apparent that we needed to do taps on the table in order to synchronise the track. So now everybody's going, "Oh, thank goodness for that."
Well, yes. I mean,
I thought it was
all
something
about
else.
it's all about. There's all these terms I knew he played Tiddlywinks, but I never actually found the photo of it before, or the proof that he actually ever did. And was, this was real stuff. I mean, this was. I think he got a what do they call them in Oxbridge? That blues. If you represent the university as at a at a sport. I think if it's the main ones like football and cricket and rugby, then you get a full blue. If it's the ones that are sort of, the next level in popularity down, then and what prestige down, then it's a half blue, and anything else is a quarter blue. And he actually earned his quarter blue playing Tiddlywinks against Oxford. And the thing is,
did he win then?
I have no idea, because he told me this ages and ages ago, and I'd completely forgotten about it, and then suddenly was reminded about it when I found this photograph just sitting on top of a filing cabinet, and there it was. It was all properly like framed and laminated, and all the names of the people were written, very neatly in so
Tell me he had a nickname. Tell me he had a nickname, Michael.
No,
Tell me
he
was
far too serious. This is, this is A.R. Greyer, and C.M. Wood, or whatever the names actually happened to be. It was all very serious.
He wasn't A.R. the Flickster Greyer or anything like that.
He probably should have been. He probably should have been. And next time I go see him, hey, hello, Dad, Flickster, how's it going? I'm sure he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But there's you laugh, but there's all the terminology that they use in this game, like the big disc that you use to flick all the other one, the squidger.
No,
that's the squidger.
That's not. That's an actual thing.
That's an actual thing. Is a squidger.
You need to educate us about all this terminology right now, please. I will not accept anything less.
There's only one other I can remember, and there's a thing about if you've got one of your winks, as in one of your smaller counters that you're trying to get into the pot. If you've got it and it's covering up one of your opponent's winks, then that wink is squapped.
This is real. I mean, there's no face of doubt here. This is something. I'm like the half-empty Tiddlywinks cup, and I'm waiting to be filled up with this glorious
this pile of winks. This big pile of winks ready to be squidged into the mouth of your cup, but you can't be squidging any squapped winks.
Oh dear. This is kind of like, it's like one of those evolutionary pictures where you kind of get the kind of like the ape going to the gorilla going to like Cro-Magnon Neolithic man. So like at one side you've kind of got tiddlywinks, and then at the other side you've got like catacombs and castles, or flick them up dead of winter.
I don't know. I mean, there's still something quite pure about those games. I mean, no, my mum lives and swears by bridge, and I've played bridge with her once in this tournament, and it was, well, I say tournament, but they there's golf clubs and bridge clubs that operate sort of weekly meetings, just purely playing bridge.
With the bridge stuff, with the bridge stuff. Now this is quite serious, because obviously, was there a real kind of drug culture amongst the bridge players? Because I don't know if you are aware of the person who recently got banned from. He was the world champion or something at bridge, and he got banned because he tested positive for a banned substance, because apparently bridge is like an Olympic sport, and therefore people have to get regularly tested.
Yes, it's subject to world anti-doping. You're right, actually, but no, I'd not heard that it had actually manifested in an actual scandal.
Yes,
I know. There was a cheating scandal that came up a couple of years ago, and there was some wonderful YouTube footage. I mean, you know how a board gaming table is. It looks quite friendly. There's people just sat around a table and enjoying themselves. Whereas in professional bridge, imagine a square table and 4 people sat around it. But in order to stop people from communicating with their partner outside the play of the cards and the bid that you make, they set up a sort of diagonal screen running across the table. And then when they're doing their bidding, they can't see their partner. They don't even vocalize their bids. They have to make them by sort of turning over cards in a box, and so it's all entirely non-vocal, and so nobody can infer any extra information apart from how the bids went. And this cheating scandal came to light because when you finish doing the bidding and you start playing the actual card play, what happens is that the box that all the bids were done in, that gets tidied up by one of the partners, and they start playing the cards. But this partnership were putting the box in specific locations around the table depending on what suits they were strong in or what suit they wanted their partner to lead.
No.
Yeah, and you can see the footage. So they open up the little door in this screen, this diagonal screen I was telling you about has like a little door in it. So they open the door up, they put the box in the middle of the table, and somebody tidies it away, so they can play the cards. And that's how they were cheating. If they wanted a spade, they'd put it in the middle of the table, or if they wanted a heart, he'd push it right through to the other side, or if he wanted a club, he wouldn't touch the box at all. It was some kind of system
absolutely
like
horrific.
That.
It's
and then
just
there's all this footage.
But
I know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there is probably on YouTube angry videos by people who are both thinking these people should be jettisoned off planet Earth, and also people who are vehemently kind of denying and backing up these people for doing what was required at the time in order to win at bridge.
Well, it was more sort of like denying that there was ever a plan in place. But no, somebody had edited all the footage and put this video together, and it's quite a sort of instructional video about what the world of competitive bridge is actually like in the arena itself. Not just when you're sort of having a bunch of friends over and playing some cards. But
you could just imagine if you one of these bridge players moved into Magic the Gathering or something like that. I mean, potentially, lives could be lost. I mean, they would be flipping tables, and it's
well, there's quite a lot of money at stake with bridge tournaments as well. I mean, the people put up like large sponsorships, and
I can imagine.
Usually the way it works is that there's somebody who wants to sponsor a team, and they've got a lot of money, so that they get to so they pay the rest of the team to play. So they've got the three elite players on the team, and a rich guy who's just paid to get involved. I mean, not like anything that we've done here at all, or anything like that.
Oh, that got awkward. Oh, that's awkward.
Oh my goodness me! If disapproving looks could kill, I mean I
trying to air dry my teeth here.
Oh, I'm just trying
scandal.
to get the audience to get an idea of the sort of the cold hard stare off to the side of the camera, going, what the hell is this guy talking about?
I have always confirmed, Michael, that I am a shill, and I'm quite happy to accept any money, bribery, anything like that. There's no two ways about this. If you want something positive,
put the right amount of money
yourself,
on the table, right? Yeah.
I'm quite happy to be that. I'm quite happy to be that person. I am quite happy to be Roy out of Blade Runner. I will be, the candle that will burn, twice as bright and last half as long, and I shall burn very, very bright because I'll be fueling my candle flame with money. That's kind of how it kind of goes.
I'd use matches maybe, but if you want to set fire to some bank notes,
I tell you what, if I have to get rid of another pile of these £20 notes, I'm going to hurt somebody. To be perfectly honest.
Oh, is that them or under that giant pile of biscuits?
They're eating. Do you know what's really bad? You want to know a secret, right? I did go out and I thought, right, I'll get the rewards done as quickly as possible. So I went out and I bought a pile. I mean, probably the best part of £8. £8 British worth of gluten-free biscuits, yeah?
Goodness me.
So I had custard creams.
That'll get you maybe like one biscuit if it's
they're like £1.20 a packet. So I had like a packet of bourbons, I had a packet of custard creams, I had a packet of Oreos, I had a packet of Jammy Dodgers, yeah. And then I woke up and I was like, I looked in the mirror and I went, oh, I'm only having a fat day. So to console myself, I kind of went downstairs, and when you're in that mindset, nothing can, it was on with the tracksuit bottoms. I considered having a shower. I just went down, I put the kettle on, got myself some of my, was it Lazaro coffee, the intense one, not the normal, the one in the gold tin, not the silver tin, the really, the one that's £4.
Right, the hard stuff.
And I just kind of like... It probably. I mean, it's the type of stuff that Waitrose would turn it down. But just opened up a packet of bourbons and started crying and just dumped away. And before I knew it, I'd eaten actually the first consignment of biscuits. So to go back out again and buy some more. I mean, that was not a good. That was so that's kind of what. And then so actually technically. The Kickstarter ended up running at a loss. Oh. By the time I'd gone out a couple of times. Because it's one of these things to say, I better get these rewards. Better get these rewards all posted out. And it just kind of never ever happened. With you having such a kind of a background in obviously the unarmed combat.
We've only gone into bridge and tiddlywinks at the moment, so it's not like.
How do you make the transition into board games? I mean, was that a relatively easy transition? Do your parents did you actually need to sit down with your parents and say, look, I'm thinking about playing board games. I know you want me to play bridge. I know you want me to play tiddlywinks, but
no, it's just a natural progression of I was always interested in card games and things like that, and always interested in learning new rules. I think one of the things that I think is key to board gamers, as you and I know them, is that it's a very appealing hobby to polymaths. In that you're not just learning one game and mastering it, and that's where bridge enthusiasts and chess enthusiasts and Go and to some extent Magic the Gathering as well. People will focus on mastering that one. So there's entire lecture series devoted to how to master chess and Go, and books, entire library sections all about the best ways of playing bridge and the bidding conventions and all those very sort of specific things. But I've always been a bit of a polymath when it comes to that sort of thing. One of the books that I remember my folks having that I just just pick up off the shelf, oh, what's this? What's interesting? It was a book of all sort of rules of sports and games, and I just sort of found myself like perusing it, going, that's interesting. I didn't know that about. So I was seeing it on the telly, and so there'll be things that are mainstream, like football and rugby and cricket and things like that, and then there'll be other things that were, because I think the date of this was the rules as they were in force in like 1980 and 81. So there were things. Right. So there were the rules of tennis, and then also the rules of real tennis, which is this.
That's
Very
the one
crazy
that's got.
game.
Is that got the ledge? Is that the one?
That's
with the
one.
ledge?
It's the one where the court is a sort of it's a recreation of a monastery.
Yeah.
And so there's all these sort of little holes and alleys and things that the ball can.
You got to hit it up a shelf and stuff.
That's
to get
right.
Extra
Yeah,
points,
yeah. That
one
side has got this sort of diagonal. Sort of buttress there, and so if you hit it against that, it comes off at a funny angle, and there's all sorts of strange. And it's like, why is that in that? Well, maybe this is a sort of a cross section of the sort of what was regarded as a well-rounded cross section of games and sports to put into this compendium of rules. And I don't know, I just kept looking at it. And was like,
it was the YouTube video at the time. I mean, it was the YouTube videos at the time.
It
do you know how to play? Do you know how to play cribbage? No, I don't. I'm going to go to my book. Do you want to play croquet? I would, but I'm not sure.
This book here, the Penguin Book of Card Games.
Wow.
Which is edited by this chap David Parlett. Does that ring any bells?
I'm staring in like a rabbit into headlights, and I'm probably going to get off.
Rabbit was close. Rabbit was warm. He was the designer of the inaugural Spiel des Jahres winner, Hare and Tortoise.
Was it? Oh, I've played that game.
Yes.
Oh
the one with all the. I've not played it yet, but it's the one with all the carrots, and it's very mathy.
Yeah, it's very, very mathy, and you're kind of going around the board, and then you've got to kind of work out number of carrots that you've got, and it's all very kind of calculating how fast you want to move based on number of carrots you're collecting, and it's all very. Oh my goodness! Well, my psychic powers are switched on. That was a wild stab in the dark.
Channeling the energy. Well, it was. Well, sometimes they work out that way. Sometimes they work. They work well. That's never been. I always try that strategy in most games that I play these days. Just wild stab in the dark.
Works in Whitechapel. Furia.
Yeah, true.
Dracula.
Some games more thematically appropriate than others.
I can't imagine it working out as Scythe.
Wild stab in the dark in Agricola. What?
Well, for porn.
I'm going to get 2 wood and shank you for the rest.
A lot of people just in Agricola just die of boredom.
I've only played it once.
I listened to people talking about it today. Actually, I listened to Dan and Mike and Luke Pryor on Sporadically Bored talk about Agricola.
Oh yes,
and they were
yes. I listened to them as well. They seem like very nice chaps.
They are very, very nice. They're lovely, lovely people. And I keep plugging.
Although don't let them listen to this bit, because we can't be.
I don't.
But no, they sound lovely.
They're very, 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 very good at what they do. But they were kind of that. But you're talking rules, an awful lot of rules. So is that kind of your bag? Are you the type of person that when you get a game in, you're the type of person that you get a delivery in, you open it up, but what you'll do is you'll say, right, okay, I'll put the box to one side, I've got the rule book out. the type of person that maybe takes a collection of rule books in a week and maybe takes them to work with you, has them in a bag, kind of reads through them.
Well, it's
No.
it's fun. It's not that extreme.
All right.
But it's not far off.
Uh-huh.
You know, I like to know how things work. And that's always been a sort of curiosity of mine. I think that's the polymath in me that's got. I'm looking at a shelf right in front of me that's got a whole bunch of games that I've been interested in. A lot of that I picked up second hand and thought, oh, that's curious. How does that work? How does it, how does it generate fun? Or how does it? What's the intent behind that rule? Or what's the intent behind this, that, and the other? And no, I've always had a bit of an interest in that, and then I sort of realised, maybe I should find a bunch of friends or a bunch of like-minded people to actually go and play them with. So, not just having the theory, but having the practice. But the theory does interest me a lot as well. I don't think too badly about buying a game and then not playing it if I've had a good peruse through and can see how it works and can sort of imagine it and see how the rules go together.
Can you make a decision on whether you potentially like a game by reading the rule book? Or do you actually?
No, I don't think
is that something that's decided of?
No, I don't think so. I mean, and I think enjoyment of a game is so dependent on not just the rules and the game itself. It's the people you're with, the kind of mood you're in, the kind of mood the other people are in, what the atmosphere you're in is like. And I think it's dependent on external factors way more than enjoying any other art form, like reading a book or watching a film. I mean, if you're watching a film in a cinema, then your enjoyment might be spoiled if there's somebody behaving, rustling crisp papers and swearing a lot and repeating the jokes laughingly to their girlfriend or that sort of thing. But I think board gaming, because of its very sort of sociable group nature, it's it inherently lends itself to experiences depending on being much more context specific, I think is what I'm trying to say. I think I've gone round and round in circles. I think that's
Yeah, no. I mean, the guys on Board Game Barrage or Barrage, as I call them, they were talking very much. Well, they had that question. I think the last time I listened to them, Mark is still my favourite. If you're listening, Callan, and
yeah, who is that Callan?
Callan. I don't know.
Callan.
You say
Callan if it's garage.
Tomato. But they were having this question about, would you rather be in the situation where you played a bad game with good people or a good game with bad people?
Oh, yes, I heard that bit of that as well. Yeah, I was listening to that just now.
I kind of like to be in the situation where I have played and struggled through kind of mediocre games, but had an exceptionally fun time because the board game was more of a reason for everybody to be sitting around the table as opposed to be the reason that we were sitting around the table. That the board game obviously was a case of, do you want to come round and have a game or something? What are we going to play? Now, something like, say, Scythe, for instance, everybody can sit around and take their time, and you can be having a conversation. There's not an awful lot of things that can kind of stop you from having that conversation. A fully interactive kind of everybody all hands on deck type of game. I think something like Root, everybody's concentrating on what they're going to be doing next. But I've had really, really fun times with games that I wouldn't. I've had games which have been elevated over and above the sum of their parts, like Letters from Whitechapel,
Oh no, that really lends itself to that as well, doesn't it? But I think sometimes the games that are nominally derided as being multiplayer solitaire, they're personally they're the sort of things I actually enjoy them, because sometimes I find them, the actual social side of things and talking to other people is more interactive than the game itself. in that you're just, while somebody else is doing their turn, and or you may be interested in somebody else's turn because they're about to do something that's really clever, or it might be just them doing their thing on their own, but it might be I don't know, it might just be it's something you can be interested in and go, oh, that was a good move. Yeah, why didn't I wouldn't have thought of that. And or just talking to somebody else while you're waiting for your turn to happen, and just being generally interested. I don't tend to like simultaneous action games where people say, oh, you've got no downtime and your turn whizzes round really fast. It means I've not really had any chance to look up after I've done my turn.
Exactly. Sort of enjoy the time. And even games that have got simultaneous play, like say something like Steampunk Rally, where you're kind of dealing with a large amount of dice at once.
I've played that once. And,
see, because that is a game that is kind of multiple places. See, I really liked it. I really, really had a lot of fun. In fact, me and my son played it all the time because he loves the engine building, and it works really, really well in a 2-player because it's okay for everybody to be taking their kind of play kind of separately.
Well, I think this goes to the point. This is very context specific, because the one time I played of it was 8 players. So we were trying to cram too many people into it, and I think one person had played it before, and it was in a pub, so it was a little bit noisy. It's a hard sort of concentration thing when you're trying to cram that many people around a table so they can all see.
It's a space taker as well, isn't it? I mean, it takes up a large amount of space. But
what ended up happening in this particular game was I'd sort of go, okay, I built my engine and I built I got it sort of going, and it was right close to the beginning of the game. And I can't remember exactly how it works because I don't remember the rules very well. Oh.
No, you're still there. You've just gone sideways. Oh, you're back again.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, there we go.
For everyone at home,
I'm sort of
Michael
back
all
again.
of a sudden flipped sideways. And then he went back again, straight again. I don't know what it...
Well, it's this thing that I do, and I can't control it. I've tried installing gravity wells in this studio which I'm in. Let's keep that premise. That state. I haven't just sort of flipped. Oh god! Vamp! Quick! Abort! Shit! It's all gone wrong. It's all gone wrong. The continuity, everybody's going to be writing in letters going, he wasn't really in a studio.
See, if you'd stopped talking, I could have edited it out, but now you've added on all the extra bits, there's no way I could edit it out, and I've got to keep it all in again, so you've just kind of completely ruined, but as you were.
Good, jolly good.
No, you're right, context is everything with regards to something like Steampunk Rally, because people can end up not having a good time. Yeah,
no, I didn't, because I long story short, I basically got blown up in the second turn.
Yeah.
And somebody else had turned up at the meetup group, and they were waiting for a game, and I just sort of went, you know what? I've got to go right back to the start. Lost everything. I think, you know what? I'll step out of this one and go play something with them because they've turned up and they're waiting to.
So
game.
Is the meetup group that to allow you to play test stuff, or is that just to allow you to socialize with people?
Oh, bit of everything. It's not to play test things. I don't design games or anything like that. But it's there to sort of bring my collection to it, and for other people to bring their collections as well. And well, maybe we should start talking a little bit about that, since I sort of I just keep getting sidetracked.
I'm kind of herding you. I'm herding you back in. So just gently, kind of. There we go. Just like.
Am I going off camera?
No, it's fine. It's fine. But the conversation.
Okay.
We're like a river.
Good.
And I'm just saying.
Oh right, I see. Right, I thought I was.
No.
I thought this was a big sort of off-camera thing, and I thought, wait, but nobody else can see apart from you, and now I've just ruined that as well. Oh, you can tell who's the professional here. Richard, you should be running this show, not me. I mean,
in terms, okay. I mean, you came on and you said, right, the reason I want to discuss meetups and why they are important. Why Why are meetups important? Why can't you just get your friends round to have a game?
That's a very good question. I think, well, one of the reasons I like it because it's just if you're not having to host and if you're meeting in a sort of central or in a public location, I think it means nobody has to play host to quite the same extent as you would if you were doing it at home and getting the snacks and getting people into your home and tidying up afterwards and preparing for having your guests round and doing all that kind of jazz. It also means that you can very easily invite people you've never met as well. I mean, this I think is the main thing that got me into it. There's loads and loads of meetup groups that have sprung up, and I think I think I don't know how many people if people don't know what meetup is, then it's a I guess it's a sort of social media-ish website, or it's a social networking website sort of where people can put events that they might be board gaming, they might be music, they might be. I'm trying to think of the ones I've been to. I think the first one I ever went on was sort of an indie music meetup where we met up in this place where they were holding a Super Mario Kart tournament and they're having DJs on. It was and there was one chap who showed up who was really, really good. He was like a pro Super Mario Kart player. Who knew all? Who just you just sit there very seriously and just barely move his thumbs and would be lapping everybody else. And you think, well, there's one guy in the draw who's like that, and you're like, was this really the sort of tournament? Is this really the sort of feather in your cap that you want here? But maybe he got the wrong impression. But it was still a fun evening. And you just sort of sign up to these things. You end up meeting up with people that hopefully you've got some kind of thing in common. It'll be the subject of what you're meeting up about. In my case, a lot of board games. And so there'll be a set time, there'll be a set place. You sort of, one person who acts as the host will say we're meeting in this location. It's really, really simple, really. I mean, it could just be done by putting a notice on a notice board or something along those lines. But I think the fact that there's that sort of central site where you'll get friends coming, and you'll also get people you've not met coming. And I think having that mixture is really good. It's good to have games in a public space because I think it normalizes board game playing as an actual activity a little bit more. It's not just something that's going to be hidden away in someone's basement or somebody's back room or in the living room in somebody's private home. I really enjoy that way of playing board games.
Do you get, you mentioned obviously friends coming along, so is there usually regulars? I mean, are you more excited about kind of knowing there's going to be a group of people that you don't necessarily know bringing their own set of games potentially, or would you, does it depend on how you get on and how you feel? Because I know that sometimes I'll just be willing to go and meet kind of whoever and have lots of chats, and otherwise I want to be kind of I'm going to make sure that there's 2 or 3 key people that are going to turn up, because if I know these 2 or 3 key people are here, then I'm going to be comfortable and confident no matter kind of what else kind of happens.
I think for me personally it's not like that at all. I mean, I could quite happily just turn up at one of these things, and because you've got the confidence at least that that people generally, if they're turning up to a board game club, they're there. You're gonna have some common ground because of the place that you're turning up to. And Most of the time, and whenever I've gone, always been a little bit nervous about it. Before you turn up, if you're turning up to a brand new place for the first time, I think that's natural. But then, once you get stuck into it, and you realize, oh, I can play this stuff with people I've never seen before, and there might be a few sort of social airs and graces that you need to iron out.
Yeah.
Like some people are more picky about where drinks go next to next to components than others, or some people have more fear than that, or some people are better at explaining rules, or more sort of forgiving to mistakes, or that sort of thing.
Oh, right, okay.
I think one of the reasons why I went to this, the meetup group that I now run, I didn't start it in the first place, and the main thing was sort of impetus behind me wanting to go there was I just wanted to play more games, and I thought, well, let's find some more people to play these games with. And the first one I went to was the biggest one in London. It's called London on Board.
Yes, I've heard of that. Yeah.
You have heard? Okay. There it goes. Waiting for a sort of interaction.
I've heard. Who have I heard
yes,
talk about it? I'm pretty sure I've heard Cesar from maybe Alley Cat Games mention it. I think maybe Bez has mentioned it.
Oh yeah.
Peter Blenker,
yes,
I'm pretty sure has mentioned it a couple of times as well. So
yes.
I think they were regulars, if not kind of irregular kind of people who went along.
Well, I think the trouble I had with that, I turned up the one time I went, I didn't have a good experience with it, and I think it's a sort of horses for courses thing. I think the way they run it, they'll have 50 or something people who are turning up to this group, but it seemed like on the chat beforehand.
Oh, right, okay.
Most people had sort of sorted out, I'm going to play this game. Who wants to play this with me? So they'd all prearranged the games. I arrived. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we arrived at about 6:15, so 15 minutes after.
All right, okay.
Nominal start time, and were greeted by the backs of everybody's heads, and it was. I just thought that's. I get it. You're all having a wonderful time, but for somebody new breaking into that, I thought it was a bit. It wasn't a good fun experience for the two of us, and that there were other eventually found a game to play. So there's somebody who was shuffling around. He just got up to go to the bar and didn't know exactly who to speak to. There was nobody there who was listed as the host, or everybody seemed so intensely focused on the game that they were playing and the good time that they were having, which I guess is one of the good things about board games, is that it can put you into that state. It can put you into a really escapist state where you have sort of left the world you inhabited before you started playing. But it wasn't particularly conducive to two people showing up and going, all right, where do we go? What do we do?
Yeah, who's got a space? Who's ready to take somebody on?
Who's got a space?
Who's in the middle of explaining
right.
rules? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't prearrange anything. Was that the wrong thing to do? Oh God, right. I feel like a fallen foul of a million rules that I didn't. Invisible red lines that I didn't know existed. I'll know for next time, but I might not go again. And that was the experience I had, which is regrettable, I think, because it's a very popular group, and as you say, there's a lot of people who go there and they run nights pretty much, I think, every night of the week, with a couple of exceptions, I think, from what I gather.
Yeah.
But the good thing,
I think you got to delegate, haven't you? I think you've got to delegate who's actively going to be the kind of the meter and greeter, haven't you? I mean, if you're in the situation where, say, you have to just have somebody to say, right, okay, you three, your eyes on the door, for the first half hour. If somebody turns up,
right, yes,
then just go and say hello and say what they're here for, kind of thing. But it's really difficult, because for some people, I guess sometimes the meetup is maybe the first time that they've played games that month, or they've met the same people within the last kind of 6 weeks. I mean, I guess I kind of experience it myself because I get a chance to play with certain people only every kind of second week. So I guess sometimes I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely, we need to plan the game for a couple of weeks down the line. But at the same time, I guess it's keeping that open so that if somebody new does come in, that you can say, right, come on in, kind of join us, have a space. And there's probably as many people who have gone in and said this was fantastic as there is many people that said, I kind of found it difficult to kind of crack the veneer that was round everybody kind of playing, kind of thing.
No, there is that, and of course, it's very contextual again. Any of these things is very contextual, but the next week went along to this other meetup group, which was in this one in Camberwell, the one that I now run, and the atmosphere was very very, very different. It was again starting at 6. And sort of burned a little bit by my previous experience and knowing I was only going to be there about 6:15. It was like, oh, I'm not going to make it on the dot of the start time. Is that all right? Is that fine? And they were going, oh, yeah, of course it is. It's absolutely fine. And then I got there 6:20, and they were all just sat in the back room having a little, having a beer and, just talking about how the week had gone. And just, having a bit of a chat and going, oh, right, well, maybe we'll start playing some games now. And the guy who was the host there, he instantly sort of recognized me from the meetup page and shook my hand and said, yeah, here's a few people to, introduce you to a few people just to get you going. And, while he goes off, says, get yourself a drink, get yourself sat down, how come you have found this place? You had far to go, all that little small chit chat, which is necessary.
But just added that extra bit to it.
Exactly.
Just kind of added that extra bit to it, kind of made you think this is
there's the welcoming. I think it's okay, I do belong here. I'm not just going to be sat on the naughty table where people who've turned up later have gone and everybody else is having a wonderful riotous time playing anything from giant raucous games of code names to this bizarre space game, which I later found out was High Frontier.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and then I later found out, oh, whoa, that I can see why they wanted to start on the dot of 6 o'clock with that game. Gee whiz.
How did you get into organising it then? I mean, how did you take the reins?
That it was the guy who'd started it. He'd started it originally as a sort of after work club, and most of the first people that came were people that worked with him, and he just didn't really want to. He didn't have the time or the energy to do it anymore, and I just said, look, I don't want this to die. I'm having a really good time here. This is a really good way of spending a Tuesday evening. Can I take over? And so I'd be happy to take over. Well, more or less, yeah. I just wanted to sort of keep it going, and the only way of doing that was to take the reins. And there's not much.
Must have been was that not quite daunting though? Because I mean, it's a big difference from turning up at a place.
Not a lot, because
and kind of playing the games.
Because I think there's really not that much you really need to do as a host. I don't think so, anyway.
Are you naturally quite hosty though? Are you the type of person that, you don't end up upside down behind the sofa, but you make sure at the end of the night that everybody's going to get a taxi and everybody's going to go home and kind of thing. Just make sure people are having a reasonable time. Is that kind of come naturally to you?
I think I probably am, actually. I don't think it comes naturally, but I think that's a sort of, I grew up in a household which was sort of mixture of religious and atheist, and so my mum took me to church, and my dad's a sort of born again Dawkins, but that's one of the things that it was sort of some of the skills that I learnt from going there was, first of all, getting practice at doing public speaking by reading Bible passages and things like that, which is, they'd have all members of the church doing that. So it would be, so you get that training in how to do it just from a little brief thing once every now and then there'd be people who's they'd have a rota for every week for anybody who turns up and they don't recognize, they'd meet and greet them and say hello. Look, here's your hymn book. Here's where you can go sit. If you make yourself at home and instantly make you feel welcome. And not in a sort of not in a really sort of outwardly evangelistic kind of way, but just in a human way.
No,
yeah. And it was.
Are you still quite active in the church then?
Not really. No, not very active. I still do sort of little things. I mean, I don't remember if we talked about this on air, but I gave up booze for Lent, which is why I'm probably prattling on now on a couple of days after Easter Sunday, and I've had a skinful at a meetup thing in a pub this afternoon.
It's the fifth time you've said it.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, yes. I also gave up remembering things for Lent as well, and I forgot that it was Easter yesterday, and it all goes into a horrible sort of meta spin of self-fulfilling prophecies and.
Is it? But is it quite? Do you find you sound like you get enjoyment out of it though? It sounds like you like to see people getting organised, getting on with the game, and the reward is knowing that they come back next time, or they come back next time they've brought a friend with them, or they've brought a couple of people with them. Yeah.
Or they might not. This is another thing that I think is important to recognise if you're hosting a meetup thing, is that you will get one-time visitors, and that's okay. And it's done for me. It's not the running the meetup group. I should probably say what the name of it is actually, in case people wanted to come along and see it. It's called My Kind of Meeple.
All right. Okay.
And you mentioned Bez a little while ago, and they used to come along to the to that group, and that was the first time I met somebody who was into the industry, as it were, without really realizing that they were an industry kind of person. And my goodness me, if you Bez's personality makes an absolute tour de force in the meetup group, and such a wonderful experience playing games with somebody like that.
I think the thing about Bez is they make you happy that you started playing a game with them, because there's a certain infectious kind of energy about them that kind of when you walk away after you spend, and they'll be like, "Oh, shut up, Richard." But when you spend a certain amount of time in Bez's company, it's an infectious amount of, she's the type of person that can take a deck of cards, draw some cats on it, and turn it into a game, and have everybody not kind of like looking at the game and going, should I play this? Because 5 minutes have passed and you're already playing the game. It's just that she's got you into this place where you're playing the game already and you don't even realise it.
Yes.
And the industry kind of needs people, it needs the thinkers, but Bez is very much a kind of a doer. And when I was at Aircon, they'd spent so much time basically just filling up an entire wall full of these cat pictures for Kitty Cataclysm, and it was just, it was amazing.
Oh, that's wonderful, wasn't it? Yes. No, I remember. Yeah. It's no. Well, I think she's one of the reasons why I wanted to. I had that infectious.
Yeah.
You mentioned the infectious nature of that and the sort of virtuous circle that it creates, and I think that's part of that energy is what's drove me to wanting to keep it going. When the original organizer decided he wanted to stop doing it. But yeah, you do get people who will just come along for one session, and I always think, when I'm running my meetup group, it's very easy to, I think, to fall into the trap of wanting, you're feeling that, whoa, only 10 people have come to my group and 20 people went to that group. My group must be a failure and a disappointment. And it's not about that. It's not. I always will extend the invitation to, if anybody is in London, then by all means come along and try it out if you've got the time on a Tuesday evening. If not, then there's plenty of other. If you're in the South London area and you want to play board games, you can play pretty much every single day of the week if you want. And just through the idea of having these public, I suppose semi-public or public, these groups meeting in public spaces that nominally will allow anybody to turn up and join in. And I really enjoyed that.
Do you get people that you see kind of getting more into the hobby? Do you see them kind of, I guess, dropping off the cliff edge into the lovely board gamey type sea? Do you see them kind of turning up like with love letter, kind of 1 week, and then kind of 6 months down the line, they're continuing kind of like their pandemic legacy kind of campaign? Do you get to see people kind of fully embrace and gain a passion with a hobby over a period of time as well?
I don't so much, actually. That's the thing. I think I also see people sort of dropping in and out and enjoying it. And I think the vast majority of people who go to these are people who already play to some extent and who are already somewhat invested in board game. I try and avoid saying the hobby because it's not just a hobby. It's a thing anybody can do, I think. And sometimes when people have turned up to see what it's like and just played a few games and they've had a wonderful evening, as far as I can work out. Sometimes I'll never see them again. And I think, why is that? Was it something I did? And then I think you sort of got to think,
no, life gets in the way.
They wanted that as a one-off experience. And that's totally valid, or it's absolutely valid just to want that one-off experience. Some people crave going to the cinema, every week or something like that, or will read every single Pratchett novel or things like that. Or some people will just read the one or watch the one every now and then. And I think that's the same thing with any cultural activity, and board gaming is no different in that respect.
Do you think the meetups are becoming more and more important as we seem to be connected more electronically, but there seems to be more distance kind of between people, that people almost crave some kind of physical interaction with another person?
That's an interesting one. I think they probably could be. I wouldn't know really important. Desirable, yes, because I'd certainly desire that sort of interaction, that sort of social activity every now and then, and the sort of thing that board games can provide. One of the other groups in the local area, I wanted to mention this guy Kyle Balmer, he's the organizer of this group in Clapham and called the South London Board Gaming Club, and they meet on a Thursday evening. He's started. I just got an email from him a couple of days ago saying he's starting this regular meetup group, which is a charity one. It's organized. So you pay your £5 entry fee, and it's organized in a space which isn't a pub or a club or anything like that. I think that's one thing that he's found with his experience, that pubs are convenient sort of meetup places, but they're not necessarily 100% conducive to an economical good time, because there's the expectation that people will be buying drinks and buying food and things like that. For me, that doesn't make any difference at all. I really enjoy playing in the back room of a pub, but that seems to be his experience. But he's got this ambitious project going on where he's hired out this 200-seater venue, or this venue which has got a capacity of 200 people, and looking to basically run this giant weekly board game meetup session at this venue in the aid of the in aid of the Mind charity, and that I don't really know an awful lot about it besides what I've just told you now. I mean, maybe you get him on your show and have him explain himself and how he's going, because it sounds like an absolutely fascinating project. You know, I don't want to put words into his mouth, but it's that sort of interactivity that I think it's a really useful resource to have, and knowing that really you could find yourself in a strange town somewhere, more or less anywhere in the world. Go on to Meetup, find yourself a local board gaming meetup, and know that you're going to have some, you know, a bunch of like-minded people and a few things that you can, you know, games that you can recognize, whether it's the latest hotness or whether it's, you know, something you've played before, or something that's got mechanics that are familiar and similar to you, and the idea of going through rules and being taught a game or bringing one yourself and explaining it to other people. And that's a very sort of familiar thing. I've been on holiday a couple of times and found myself just going to these groups and just turning up and being a tourist. And we've had a few tourists coming into our group just for one-offs as well. And it's a really magical thing. I love it.
Is it the case of you're kind of helping people to create kind of experiences as well?
I think
is
so,
that
yes.
It's not just about kind of, you know, one of the things that gets pushed on people all the time is consume. And the thing about living in London is it's flipping difficult to consume anything because it's all so expensive. Do you think that people are kind of like, you know, they're looking for kind of an experience, kind of polite conversation, some friendliness, and also, you know, to beat the other person into the ground, kind of 30 to 12.
To build that better farm, or to
exactly,
or to have the stronger army, or
to forge that third key.
Yeah. Oh God. I played that only the once, and again had a terrible experience of it. It's like rubbing two sticks together. Oh dear. I was sitting there. I think I'll play this card now, and then the guy opposite me went, "Oh right, I can play that one. That one combines with that, and this one, and right, I've now got 15 of these ember things that I need. Oh right, okay. Oh, and I'll nick the one that the only one that you've got. Thanks, mate. I feel really good about myself now. Squash that card.
And then I've got another card. I've got another card here that kicks your puppy in the face. You know.
But that was the only puppy I have, and you've got all the puppies.
Exactly. And I've forged all the keys, and you lose.
And I lose, and you just feel like you're still there going, oh, well, I think I might have had some fun somewhere, maybe.
Would you take it to the next level yourself? I mean, let's face it. I mean, you know, UK Games Expo started off as a small thing in a hotel. Aircon started off in somebody's house. Tabletop Scotland started off, well, in a conference centre. But they, they're, that's just how they like to do things. But would you, would you, knowing that, there's people willing to come along, I mean, would you consider kind of starting off like some kind of like bigger event yourself and see kind of what happens?
Well, yes, I have thought about that. Definitely thought about that. And then I looked at a Google Doc spreadsheet of all the conventions that are run in the UK, for the big ones and the small ones, and realised that there's more or less one going on every weekend. So
guess
why if I wanted to travel to to there's not that many in London, though. That was one thing that I did observe. There's the sort of tabletop one in Alexandra Palace. I think that's what it's called. And there's a couple in the sort of in the southeast and in the sort of the suburbs around London. But there's I think I've certainly toyed with the idea and I think I think it would be great running my kind of convention. That could, but since there are already enough people with the skills and the impetus and the excitement to run it themselves, and there's no point in diluting the pool sometimes, I think, as well. If you've got a convention that's that can take me into the in their capacity, that's running 50 people or something like that, then I don't see any need. I might like to do so if I felt that there was a need for it, but I don't think there is. I think there's more conventions out there than people realize. There are the big ones that you've mentioned, but as soon as I looked at that, but there's a spreadsheet. I forget where it is. I think it's on Board Game Geek somewhere. There was a. You'd have to sort of Google it and find it.
I don't know if maybe bringing Tabletop Scotland back in. I'm pretty sure maybe Dave Wright, who runs Tabletop Scotland, I'm pretty sure he had a spreadsheet as well, kind of floating about in Google Docs with all of the events.
Yeah, it might be
the same one.
It might be the same thing then.
It might be the same one. The same one.
But there is plenty of them. There's plenty of them about, and that's the same thing with meetup groups. There are lots of them about, and I think it's nice to have lots of them that are, that have about 10 or a good core of 6 to 8 people, and then maybe another 3 or 4 that drop in on a sort of random basis. So you've always got that variety of people there. With the same core, you've got a good mix. You're not just playing the same games with the same people all the time. You get that mix, and the people that join in occasionally when they're usually busy on a Tuesday, and this week I'm free, so I'll drop into this group this time, and do it on a very ad hoc basis. And I really like it, and I really value it, and I think it's it's something that I've really enjoyed doing over the past couple of years, and I guess wanted to come onto the show to say this is a really good way of, if you feel you're not playing enough games and you're struggling to get friends over, go out and seek it. And if you're in an unfamiliar city and you're struggling to find something to do, and you're a fan of playing board games, then find a meetup group, because at the very least you'll meet a few people, and then they can sort of help you guide you around the city a little bit, talk about some of their favorite places, and sort of get to know a place a bit more organically.
The Cheers theme tune at the moment is pounding through my head for whatever reason. Taking a break from all your worries sure can help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you want to go where everybody's got a game.
Everybody knows.
And they're always glad you came. Wow.
You are going to score less points than me, but you're going to enjoy it all the same. I want to go where everybody knows Pandemic's name.
That has to be.
Something like that.
That has to be that has to be
something along those lines. Yes.
Where can people find the meetup if they've listened along and they say, okay, is there sites that people should consider kind of going to if they've listened along and said, oh, hang on, I'm just round the corner. Where can I go and find your little piece of gold at the end of the rainbow?
I was kind of dreading this question a little bit, because everybody says, "Oh, I'm here on Twitter, I'm here on Facebook," and I don't really do any of that. I've left Facebook. I've left Facebook just because I just it was getting me down. I think it was a thing about that. It's very easy to get sucked into that void, and I just thought, well, I'd just rather not have that as a temptation. So I don't Facebook. I do tweet occasionally. I have a Twitter handle. It is @MichaelGreyer. But the main way you'd be able to find me is to go on meetup.com and search for board games. And if you happen to be in a little corner of southeast London, on a Tuesday evening,
all right,
at a pub called the Son of Camberwell, starting from 6:30. That would be, you could, sod getting people to find out where I am online. Here's where I am in the real world, and I'm quite happy to share that information because it's public anyway. It's So we run there. If I find the meetup page first and sort of RSVP to let me know that you're coming, which I think is an important thing that I think some groups forget to do if they have this appearance that no one's coming. And then you get there and you find, we just organise it on WhatsApp now, but the meetup page is still live, and so everybody else goes,
it's just the two of us
still running because it's just me and the organizer, and he's saying he's going to be on holiday, so I don't want to be turning up at this place that. No, it's or just me, just me, myself, and not even the third one. It's that's where you can find the group. And
right,
you can see on went to Herefordshire. This is an example. Been on holiday to Herefordshire last year, and on the Wednesday I went to there's a meetup group in Stroud, so about an hour's drive from where I was staying. And then on the Thursday, went to the one that took place in Cheltenham. So again, about a sort of 45 minutes drive from where I was staying. And then on the Friday night, went to the Ross and Y board gaming club, which they don't have a meetup.com page. They've just got this thing on Board Game Geek, where one of the guy, Ben Bateson, he runs a blog about all the games they played, and it's quite fascinating reading it, and the. It's frequented by the famous Mr. Anthony Boydell. It's the one that he goes to, and I just dropped a little message on Board Game Geek to Ben and say, hey, I'm in the area this Friday. Can I join in?
That's cool.
He said, yeah, absolutely, sure. And there was him and there was Tony and then a little while later, I found my name appearing on Board Game Geek in all the sort of little session reports that he writes. So he does it that way, so different clubs will do it in different ways. We use Meetup. A lot of them use Meetup.com. Some just do it purely on Facebook. Some will do it purely on Board Game Geek, using the sort of very sort of early 2000s social networking capabilities that site offers, and. They're all very useful tools. So get stuck in.
I don't think I need to start playing these board games. I keep talking to all these people, and I need to actually find out how they work and stuff. You move after you roll the dice, don't you? I mean, that's what most of them do. I like to be the horse. Can you be the horsey? I like to be the horse.
No, exactly. Well, you mentioned Monopoly. One of the things I did find fascinating that's in my pet parents' cupboard. I wanted to mention this is that they've got a sort of just post-war copy of Monopoly.
All right.
So it's a really fascinating copy because it's a sort of historical thing because it's before they stopped rationing. So you complain about how thin paper money is. This is microscopically thin money. There's no metal pieces all the tokens, the player tokens, are little cardboard standees in a wooden. In a wooden thing, and
made out of toenails.
It might as well be,
I just had an incredibly kind of tasteless thought that the board would just be like have big gaps in it where there was stuff missing from the flips.
Not quite, but again, it's really, really thin and it's very delicate. I mean, I don't know if it was an actual one of those wartime copies where there's you hear the stories of people sending a Monopoly set or something like that to somebody in a prisoner of war camp, and it's got like a map and a file and and a load of sort of survival rations, sort of hidden under the hidden on the back side of the board or something. I don't think it's one of those. I've not opened it up or ripped it apart to check, but still, it's those little curios, I think, that just got me into it in the first place. And yes, it's a Monopoly set, and I probably wouldn't play it again now, but again, I just had a lot of fun with those curios.
Sounds cool. Thank you for coming along. Thank you for supporting the show and coming along. And
not at all. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure listening to your voice. Well, listening to it now and actually having it respond to my own voice is a really weird.
It is. Can you imagine if you're listening along to the radio? I know exactly.
This is the guy from the radio. Oh my God!
Over to Michael. Okay, I guess we just need to wrap up and tell everybody where we can find the show on the internet. Well, obviously I'll get the show notes. I'll put lots of lovely links in it, so we've got notes to show. If you want to keep an eye on what we are doing, then go to all the different places, Worn Out Faces, Worn Out Places. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on our website, which is we'renotwizards.com. Everything else is We're Not Wizards. YouTube is We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, so you can find us there. You can find us on our blog, which is we'renotwizards.blogspot.com. You can find us, if you want to support the show.
MySpace?
We were, but then they deleted all our music files, so they can, we're not really happy about MySpace at the moment, but who knew the cloud was going to be doing this to people's music files. If you have liked what you've listened to, you can rate us or review us on your podcast catcher of choice. Most of them have got pod, some of them have got cast, except Spotify, because it likes to be contrary and calls itself Spotify. If you like us even more than that, you can jump over to Apple Podcasts and you can leave us a rating or a review if you have liked what you've listened to tonight, and you should, because Michael's awesome. Right, then go on to Apple Podcasts, give us a rating or review, give us 5 stars. It's it's in the middle. It's average. We're in the average. We're kind of average, but 5 stars is the top rating you can give on Apple Podcasts. That's been the joke for the last 2 years. Go and listen. If you've listened to tonight and you've got this far, stop, click the show notes. Jump on, give us 5 stars and say that was an amazing episode that Michael kind of helped us create this evening.
Oh,
he
thank
was
you,
fantastic.
Richard. Thank
Use
you.
Big typey fingers as well, like I'm doing just now, flapping like an idiot and nobody can see. It's fantastic.
I'm definitely rating it. I'm sorry, I've spoiled your spiel. Yeah.
No, just take the piss. Look what I can do. There you go.
Oh my God! Well, I can see it, and it's a sight to behold. It really is. Clicking your fingers and doing 2 thumbs up. No, you're just showing off clicking both fingers at the same time. I mean, that's Richard, and this is me. Thud.
It's subtle but effective. There's only a couple more things to do. The first thing is to remember that we are many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Michael?
We are not, Richard. We really are not.
Nah. Because, wizards can't do the type of magic. They can't do this type of magic.
I don't mind people. I don't mind people who are. Some people.
Do what you'd like.
It's fair play if they want to be.
Do what you like. If you want to go about wearing, robes and a funny hat, and just like murmur words into the air, And if that gets you something, then that's fine. You know.
You're not looking convinced. I feel like you're going off me in the last 5 minutes.
It's definitely not. And the other thing is to say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from the rather wonderful, the rather fantastic Mr. Michael Greer. Say goodbye, Michael.
Bye, everyone.
And it's a good.
Oh,
it's
well, I jumped the gun.
It's
It's a disaster right at the end.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and if you fancy being in a room full of kind of strangers where you've got some kind of commonality where you can sit down and have a chat with somebody and play a bit of cardboard, then check out meetups, because
It's a wonderful.
It's
experience.
just like Cheers.
It's a wonderful.
It is a wonderful experience, and you might bump into a Woody. Who knew? But until the next time, goodbye. Say goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.